Hello, hello. We are waiting that some people will join. I'm waiting for Marta. Hey everyone. Hey Kim. Hello. We're waiting for Marta to join and there she is. Hey everyone.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Good morning, good evening.
Yeah, it is sometimes so messy, not even knowing anymore which day it is, what time it is.
That's good.
But I'm happy that you're here
Thanks so much for having me. That's so cool.
anytime. Like, do you hear me well, actually? I have
Yeah, I'll just
earplugs in.
make you a little bit louder. Wait a second.
I hope everyone else in the chat hears me well. I thought,
Mhm.
let's try something else.
Can you hear me well too?
I can hear you perfect.
Great.
I chose for a blue shirt today for you.
Very nice.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, my pink is gone, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Uh,
but you always try different colors, I guess.
Yeah, I think like I start to get a hang of it again that I like to switch it up. So now and hey Natasha, hey Kim, thanks for letting us know.
Hi, Kim.
Yeah, and you have for a while already blue hair, right?
Yeah, for I think 2 years now or something like that. But I really noticed that my hair was getting thinner and thinner. So I'll just have to take a break now, unfortunately. But yeah, that's the way it is.
Yeah, it so suits you. But
Thank you.
yeah. So guys, I'm just doing a little introduction. Panic Girl here, and we are very happy that you're here. And Kim is saying hi. Um, it is very cool. You're from Munich, so we have a big time difference right now. It's 10 a.m. for you. It's for me 8 p.m. And you are all about synths, modulars. You have so many cool stuff out there, and there's one in the background there, which we're probably gonna talk about. And you are featured in a pageant tweet book. Yay!
Yes, that was
A
such an
very
honor, really. I remember vividly when Kim approached me and asked me for the interview, and I was just running to my husband. Kim wrote me, I'm gonna be in the book. Oh my God, oh my God. I was so
Oh my
excited.
God. I can even, it's a beautiful spread and it's a beautiful interview. I think there's like many things I'm gonna ask you about tonight as well. Tomorrow, this morning, whatever. But yeah, I would love to ask you a little bit about you. So where you come from, where you start. Um, yeah, and your real name is Martha.
Yes.
So for those who don't know. Yes, I would love to hear that a bit about you, like when you start.
My journey, yeah. So I don't know, I knew I wanted to make music and be involved with music from a very early age. I think 4 or 5 already. That was when I listened consciously to music for the first time. That was such a fascination for me, and ever since I made music somehow. I sang in a school choir. I played a bit piano at home. I had guitar lessons, not too long, and then I played in a band when I was a teenager. It was when I was about 16, 17 or something like that. And that was huge fun. I played the guitar and I sang as well, like pop rock songs. Yeah, a bit cheesy, but it was fun. And then a friend of mine told me about the SAE, School of Audio Engineering. Did you do you know about that? They have the
Yes, it's
headquarters in Australia, I think.
is it the headquarters here? Yeah, I know that they have it here and in Amsterdam, but probably a lot of different franchise, I guess. But
Yeah,
that's cool that
all over
you,
the world, spread all
yeah.
over the world. Yeah, and yeah, and that friend told me about the School of Audio Engineering in Munich, And that was really, I knew, okay, that's exactly what I want to do. I was studying at that moment, and I went to my parents, I need to stop studying and start the School of Audio Engineering. And they were so supportive. That was actually really cool. And yeah, then I started the course there, the audio engineering course. And ever since, I'm working as an audio engineer, music producer, music composer, and yeah, and my main job for the last, I don't know, 10 years or something like that is a sound designer at the public radio station here in Munich. And yeah, also composing as Panic Girl.
Wow. That sounds like a dream for many of us, I think.
I guess so.
Mm.
Yeah, it was really, really good to know very early on what I wanted to do. I think that was
Yeah,
really a blessing somehow.
yeah. Yeah, so yeah, you went to the school, and yeah, I've read you also indeed played a lot of acoustic instruments, and I'm wondering so much like how did you find the balance between those? Because I see you using still both, like you use a lot of modular, you use also the Moog and everything. And what is for you the perfect balance between that? Is there
Do you mean between acoustic instruments and
yeah, an electronic?
synthesizers?
Yeah,
I would say the main focus is on synthesizers for sure these days. But I always, yeah, like I have a ukulele, for example, that I really like, a guitar. But with those instruments like the guitar, for me, if I don't play them regularly, you're not as flexible or fast in
yeah,
with your hands anymore.
yeah.
That so I can't properly play. I can play some riffs, some melodies, but not too elaborate. And yeah, and I think synthesizers is really my main love, just because you can really design the sound from scratch.
Yeah.
And with a guitar, it sounds beautiful, but it always sounds like a guitar or like the ukulele you bought. And with
Yeah.
synthesizers, you always get surprised. You get, for me at least, still after so many years, I'm mind blown how it can sound, what I can get out of it, especially with modulars, all the
Hmm.
instrumental modules as well. That's really exciting, actually, for me.
Yeah. It seems like you're such an explorer, which I really like. Um, like myself, I find it hard sometimes to really create music in that moment instead of being all the time focused on sound design. Like I spend a lot of hours with that. So do you prefer a lot of sound design, or is it that you directly can create a track out of it? And does it take you a lot of time? Maybe too many questions in one, but so many questions for you. Um, yeah,
But
how is that process?
yeah, I know what you mean. I think for me, I always start with the sound design somehow, just
Mm.
to get something that inspires me. Like I love pet sounds or arpeggios, a little bit dreamy, melancholic, something in that direction. And then when I have a sound going on, then I immediately want to hear it in a song context or track
Mm.
context. And then I start
Yeah.
composing. Though composing takes a little bit longer. Than with composing, there also comes mixing in the picture, and mixing for me takes the longest always. That's really such a such a topic for itself. So yeah, I think sound design first, then composing, mixing, and then trying to finish the track as fast as possible, so that
Yeah.
the ear doesn't get too comfortable with, yeah, you know the drill.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. So it's interesting that you say that you are not mixing the sounds directly, you mix afterwards completely, or is it also that you are while you're creating the sounds that you mix them as well, or you just leave that always at last?
While I do the sound design, I don't mix immediately, but when I compose, then I'm also mixing the
Yeah,
sounds, and
yeah,
that takes quite a while for me, the mixing.
Mm-hmm.
as mentioned. But when I'm sound designing, that's mostly exploring, having fun,
Yeah.
just checking out what the module or the synthesizer or whatever can do.
Yeah.
And also I love finding sounds that contrast, that have a lot of contrast, like a very, I don't know, analog synthesizer sound with a mixed with a guitar sound, for example, or something piano sounds. So yeah, the mixture of all these different sounds that makes maybe in the end a good mix as well.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, well, the example we can find in your latest album, your Blue album, which is stunning. I was listening it today in a bus.
Thank you.
Um, yeah, it's really nice. Like you have that kind of down tempo drive in it, and you use your voice quite a lot as well.
Mhm.
So have you also studied for that, like having coaching sessions for that, for a singing or a singing course or?
Coaching sessions, not, but I sang in the school choir for several years.
Nice.
I guess that helped also. I had a lot of fun and we also did concerts and yeah, it was really many, many years of that. Soprano, I was one of the squeaky voices on top. But I also tried once a coaching lesson with a, one-on-one
Mm,
lessons with a teacher. But I don't know, I didn't follow that through. I also like with the voice to experiment a lot, and as well as with my composing. I'm not really trained in composing or music theory and everything. I mostly listen by ear, and often I think if you don't know too much, sometimes maybe that helps to keep your mind open and experimental. And because I think if you know too many rules, maybe that can be sometimes, I don't know, it holds you back while experimenting. So I always try to find a balance between that.
mm. I love that you say that. I think there's a lot of sort of pressure sometimes on musicians, new people that are just starting off, that they think they need to know everything and every detail. But um, would you agree that it is really by doing and by experimenting that you actually learn what your sound is? Yeah.
Absolutely. Especially with music, no one in the end is interested what you know about it theoretically. It just has to sound good in the end. And yeah, that's really just doing, experimenting, exploring. I also remember when I started at the School of Audio Engineering, that was really, it helps, of course, to know things, especially if you want to, of course, work as an audio engineer. For example, you need to know some basics, but also there at that school, you had those studios,
Mm,
lots of them, and also, stations with different DAWs on it and compressors, equalizers, just to listen to it, to learn it, to listen, to repeat, to just practice as much as possible.
yeah. Sounds like driving a car. Just practice as much as you can, and then you will be automatically doing it.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, you created your album Blue. I've been told by the with the Moog, the I'm gonna speak here like Moog matriarch. Is it
Oh,
sound? Does it?
that was the follow-up release, Wash the Shore.
Ah, right. Yeah,
Yeah, that
because
one
that.
I did with the Moog instruments mostly, the matriarch exactly,
Yeah.
the subharmonicon, the Mother 32, and the DFAM.
Yeah. Wow. So you're into the Moog series, and you must love the sound so much, because you're
I do.
using it quite often.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, with this release with Wash the Shore, it was quite an adventure for me because about, I don't know now, half a year ago, I didn't own a Moog synthesizer.
Mm-hmm.
And then Moog invited me to play a gig at Superbooth in Berlin.
Awesome.
And they said the gig, of course, I should use mostly Moog instruments, and they sent over the whole package: Matriarch, DFAM, Mother 32, and the subharmonicon, and I had to
Wait
learn
one
it.
moment. I'm gonna call Moog now.
That was
So
really
cool.
that was the whole you know, the challenge of those gigs. Different artists they performed there, and they all got sent a new instrument that they haven't used before, and they needed to learn them from scratch then, and prepare a whole gig with that, like an hour gig. That was that was really something. Very exciting, also very I didn't have too much time, like how much was it, like 4 or 5 weeks of
Mhm.
exploring and then composing and then also practicing what to play. But I felt like especially with the matriarch, it's such an amazing synthesizer. It's really hard to get sounds out of it that sound bad. It's really hard. It's everything you touch there, for me at least, it sounds beautiful, very warm. You know, the typical Moog sound, the filter, very warm, analog. The delay is so beautiful. Really, it's amazing. And it was actually pretty easy to compose all the tracks that I made for it, the 4 tracks. And then and then I performed it at Super Booth. That was really a beautiful experience. They had the circus tent at the Super Booth, very beautifully decorated as well. They really have a hand for that. And then I decided to release those tracks as well on my Bandcamp, Wash the Shore. Yeah, that was something.
Beautiful. Yeah, I've heard them. It's beautiful. It's really stunning. Like there's so much depth in it, and so I don't know. I think what you say, like the Moog has really a sound that is nothing like anything else, and Kim, he has a captivating
Oh,
performance. So
thank you so much.
I saw it, I think, on your Instagram, but I went to the first Super Booth and I saw the Moog area, and they have really a really nice ambience there, and
Wow, yeah,
um, yeah, it's very special. So perfect fit for you probably. So
that was
yeah,
really, really nice.
yeah. So like, do you have more of these projects going on? So I know you work now for Moog, but you say like you're also sound engineer, and what kind of projects do you work on recently, or is there anything you can tell about
Yeah,
things you're
sure.
working on?
I always have projects at my day job, for the public radio station. And one of the, so there, what I'm doing actually is that someone is doing a feature, like 30 minutes to an hour long, and they need the complete sound design package, like opening track, then you call it in German beds, music beds that lay beneath the voice,
Mm-hmm.
the one who is telling the story. Then also the ending track that I need to compose. So everything that is involved in that. And the challenge there is to really accompany the story, not to put the music first, but to really talk to the author what the story is, what she or he wants to, you know, transport story wise, and how the sound can help, like with movies a bit. That's the same with radio. And one very fun project this year was a feature for the children, for children actually. That the story was there were some parts, for example, where there was a pink donut floating in the air, and there was a time portal and stuff like that. And
I love that.
in this project, I had to do the sound design, so not the music, but the sounds, like how the donut sounded like the time portal, or an electrical parrot that was a little bit broken. That was very fun to do as well. I hope for many projects like I felt a bit like Ben Bird, the sound designer of Star Wars. I also have the book here from him about the Star Wars sounds and how he designed it, and it's a whole other universe. How to think of, for example, the parrot, the parrot sound. I had like let's say 7 or 8 tracks for every parrot sound, and there was, for example, how is it called? Do you see what this is?
The pencil.
Brush.
Yes.
Yeah, for example, the sound of the brush, that was like the legs, not on a glass, but on a wooden surface, for example. Then I had like computer starting sounds, like a little bit broken. They had to sound a little bit broken. Then I searched for parrot noises that I could use for it as well. And then I also had some tools, Werkzeuge tools, like a screwdriver or something like that, when he was walking, and so on. So yeah, that was really fun to do. Or the time portal, it had it. He told me he wanted to have it like it should sound like liquid metal, combined with balloon sounds, and also very wobbly. And this sound had about 50 tracks in the end, but it sounded so cool. I loved it. So yeah, those sound design jobs are really, I really love them.
I see it in your face. If you talk about it, you're like
yeah, it was really, really great.
Yeah, it sounds like it's like whatever you need to use for your sound, you will use probably.
Exactly.
That's how it sounds. Yeah, that's so great.
Very much exploring and just testing out, and yeah, that is really nice. And yeah, with the job at the radio station, it's always a different topic. Then the other day I have just to make music for a news opener, then maybe something about a feature about COVID, for example, and then another one about, I don't know, what was one, traveling, the history of traveling, for example, and then doing the music for it. So it's really nice to, you know, get your head in that topic. I'm learning every time something new as well. When I'm reading the manuscript,
I would say the same. The script.
Exactly. So I'm always learning as well for myself, and then just composing for the topic, and working with the author and the team together. That is very nice. And for Panic Girl, I also always have projects as well. I just did a little video for Bow Beats, for example.
Oh yeah, I saw. It was cool.
That was a nice video. That was the best synthesizers and music production gear of 2021. And he invited loads of great producers like Cuckoo, or many different very cool producers, and everyone had to say what favorite piece of gear they chose for this year, and a special trick maybe that you could do with it. And for me, it was the Beats module from Mutable Instruments. And yeah, that was, for example, fun.
Yeah, and what is a special trick with that?
With the Beats module, you can also use it as a wavetable oscillator. So I connected like a touch sequencer to the Beats module, and then with the touch plates, I could activate the wavetable oscillator in the Beats module. And that sounds beautiful.
That's really cool. Yeah, because like going back a bit also to your modular case over there because it's really I have to look at it the whole time as well. So we know you make beautiful music with it, and yeah, it's amazing, and lovely patch cables and lovely Instagram pieces we see coming by. Yeah, I'm wondering what are the modules you use the most right now, and what kind of patches you're into. Um, yeah, because yeah,
That's
I love that you're featured in the book, and yeah, like there is a reason you're in there. So
Thank you so much. Yeah, I got my first modular synthesizer case about 10 years ago already. That was really something different back then because you didn't have so much tutorials online and all those, yeah, all this help online.
hmm
But back then I had only Dupfer modules. It was a A100 basic, the basic two-row case. And I still have all those modules. They still are working. That's really great. And nowadays, of course, it grew a bit. I have like
or
three cases at the moment, but I also try to sell modules that I don't use, so it just doesn't lay around, because for me it's always, if I don't use it for a longer time, then maybe someone else can have fun with it. And these days I really love this module over here.
yeah.
This is the by Do Boss, I think it's pronounced, TSNM sequencer. And I
hmm
really like this a lot. It's those touch plates. It's a touch plate sequencer, and you can use it in very many ways. I usually use it just to play live some melodies
hmm
with it, and you can also, of course, play arpeggios with it, or program sequences. You can also, what is really cool is you can record those movements from down and upwards, and this CV you can send to other modules to modulate them, for example. That's
hmm
also very nice. It has tons of features and isn't too expensive for my it's about, I think, 300 euros, and that's really okay for such a device. And
yeah.
then also the Beats module, I really love it to death. It's I have to confess, maybe I get some unfollows now, but I didn't like the clouds module too. It wasn't.
We have to go now. No.
Yeah, I have it. I have it in my case, but I don't know. I think I didn't use it properly. I always used. I very often used the reverb, and also the granular, of course, the granular portion. But I don't know. It didn't click with me. But with the Beats module, I'm all over the place with it. I'm using it in every patch ever since, and yeah, I really like that. It has very many cool features, like for example, it detects the input level that
hmm
you put in over here in this jack, and it adjusts it to the level it needs to work properly automatically, for example. And then you here for the CV inputs, those are attenu randomizers. That means, you know, you have the minus, you can turn it into the minus portion and into the plus portion. And if nothing is plugged into the CV input, it automatically activates the random function, so you
Yeah.
don't have to plug in CV for it to work, for example. That's genius, I think.
Wow.
And yeah, and what do I else? I always, or that's in another case down here. Wait a second. Oh no, it's plugged in. It's connected with other devices over there, so I can't unplug it. But
Yes.
the Malgorithm by the Harvestman, that's a bit
hmm
crusher. I really like the sound of that one. And the Time Safari by the Harvestman, that is really fantastic too. It's also it's a sampler somehow. You can record portions of or little bits of the input and then mangle with it.
Is it
And
like or
Pardon?
is it like granular, or is it just is it different, works differently?
It works differently. It's not granular. It works differently. So you just can sample it, and then you can adjust also the sample rate, for example. Then you can, here with the sliders, you can on the fly adjust the end and starting points, for
Cool.
example, and that's, yeah, that's really, and it has a very distinct sound to it immediately. And then what else? Let me see. Oh, I have the pretty new module of mine is the ground control by endorphins. It's the sequencer. I had many sequencers along the way, and for me, it's one of the core modules of a Eurorec system. And somehow, I don't know, so far I didn't find the perfect sequencer for me, but knock on wood, I think the endorphins ground control might be the one module for me, because I think some sequences are experimental, which is
Hmm.
great, and I always need some kind of experimental sequencer in my case, but I also need one, let's say, workhorse that can
Yeah.
really, where you can program melodies, which you can save as well, and several melodies for a live gig, for example. When you have to play an hour-long live gig, you need something stored already. And with the endorphins, I think it's a perfect mixture of playability. You can immediately play with the keyboard, with the keys.
Sounds intuitive.
Exactly, and you can program it, and it has an arpeggiate. I love arpeggios. I need them always.
Same.
And yeah, it's so far it's really, and you have like 3 CV and gate outs, and additionally 8 drum gate outs. So it really has a lot
Yeah.
outputs. That's cool as well. So yeah, that's a perfect module for me right now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. When I hear you saying this, and maybe some starters in here as well, where do you start and where do you end? Is there an end?
There is never an end with with Eurorack. I guess really it's but that's all also the fun, I guess, with modular, that you can always keep exploring and selling modules and buying new ones maybe, and then having a setup for a year, and after that, after you maybe explored it very in depth, then maybe head up to something new again.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really nice just to keep it going.
Yeah. It sounds so much fun, and the market is quite big now. Like it grew the past years so much. I still remember the first super booth, and there were like a lot of upcoming small companies with new modules, and it became like really big. And I always said like, oh, when it's crashing again, I will buy it. But it doesn't stop.
It really doesn't stop. That's true. But it's also pretty overwhelming, I guess, when you start now, what to choose from all those different options. That's for
We
me,
would like
for
your
example,
advice.
yeah, it's very much. For example, at the moment I'm searching for a stereo mixer module,
Hmm.
and for me also it's really wow, what to choose, what to choose. There's so many options. It's crazy.
Yeah, it so is, and there are new popping up everywhere all the time. So if you could go back through all those years of fun and new explorations you had and ideas, and what would you do differently? Like what is a tip you can give for people that are just starting off, that you would suggest?
With the modular, you mean?
Yeah, if you want to start a case or you want to dive into modular.
I think I was pretty lucky when I started out, because I wouldn't change it. For me, I think it was great to have, a case that was already prepared. So I didn't choose the modules, the single ones, but Döpfer, he thought of a very nice starter case, and in there was a sequencer, oscillators, envelope generator, for example, and I also remember I bought it in the music store, so the guy who was working there, he could explain to me what the modules did. I remember that I didn't understand a word, or very, very little. I was just, wow, what is this? I need this right away. Please explain as much as possible. And he also did a patch for me, so it worked right away. And he closed the lid, so I could take the patch with me back home. And I also remember that I didn't touch a cable for, I don't know, months, because I just wanted to, I didn't know how exactly it worked, and I just wanted first to explore with what the sound possibilities were just by turning the knobs. And yeah, that was pretty good for me to start with. And I had the Döpfer manual, but it was, I don't know, it it had some patch examples as well, but it was a little bit theoretical, the Döpfer manual. And then at some point I dared to unplug the cables and try it for myself, and yeah, and then just start exploring. But that was a very good start, I guess. And maybe I would also, it really depends on how much you're into the topic already. Many recommend starting off with a VCV rack online, you know, with the plugin. It is, I guess it is good to check out and learn the basics or the functionalities. But for me, it's really like, I don't know, playing Lego online. It's a totally different thing, and I don't like it at all. I have to admit, it is no fun at all for me to click on the screen with modular. It's just, you know, the plug and play feeling of it. And yeah, nowadays you have very many resources online, and also like the books are perfect as well, like Patch and Tweak, to start learning. And yeah, I think such a starter kit, like a really configured case, is not bad to start out with. But if you have already a little bit of knowledge, you can of course also configure it yourself on modulargrid.net, for example. That's also a great idea. And or what I think would probably do nowadays is to pick one of my favorite artists online and see what they have in their case, and maybe just rebuild it if it's not like, you know, 3 cases at once.
Exactly.
But maybe something like Art Benny, Light Bath, Jogging House, or one of those artists, for example. Or there's so many, or Helene Vogel-Singer, or Ellen Peel. She is, I'm such a fangirl. She is amazing. Though she also has not only modular, but very many different pieces of gear. Or yeah, there's so many online, and I guess one could get inspired by those as well. Yeah, many different ways to get started.
Yeah, it sounds like it's if I hear it so from you, that there is enough support if you want to start. And that is really nice, I think, because I spoke with Megan before, and it could be very overwhelming to a lot of people. But yeah, if you maybe look for other people or search online, some communities, I think there are some out there that offer help. So that's really nice to hear, I think.
Yeah, and I'm also a big fan of maybe, you know, like for example, the Magneto module or Starlab. They're a little bit expensive, but I think it's worth the money to invest in very good gear. Though on the other hand, I don't know companies that don't do good modules. So
It's hard to say
It's,
those things. Yeah, so it's like
it's
that
not
one is not
easy.
nice. No, yeah, it is not. And I think it's also very personal. Like everyone has a different workflow, and it seems like you are quite open and to try things out and swap if you like. It's cool that you don't buy a device of 4,000 euro and you're stuck with it. It's like
Yeah,
you can change it up the whole time.
exactly.
Um,
Yeah, just try and error and
yeah,
explore and
exactly.
exactly. Yeah.
It's super inspiring your story. Like literally, I think for many of us, also for women in the scene, yeah, it's very inspiring to hear this all of you. I'm actually wondering, people that are watching, do you have a nice question for Panic Girl? That would be nice. Uh, Let me check. I had some other things I would wanted to ask you. Yeah, well, maybe like we know all your amazing Instagram, and I always thought you had like a designer eye or something.
Thank
And I
you.
thought maybe you would do something like design or styling, but it looks beautiful. Is there, and I thought like, oh, I really want to know your secret behind it because you have all these different colors of background, and it's so, yeah, I thought I really needed to ask that question.
That's so nice of you. No, I don't have a background in design or anything. I just at some point I realized that I like those Instagram accounts or YouTube accounts better that just looked nice. It's just yeah, they're good quality camera, something nicely designed like the for example on YouTube knobs. Do you know that
Mm-hmm,
channel?
mm-hmm.
He
Yeah,
also has like from top down shots and really nicely all those props or you know little details on the table and I thought I need to do something like that as well. And I regularly watch like tutorials on any topic like sound design or also design camera, how to use a camera,
cool.
because actually I'm quite a noob on that. I know so little about it really, and it's all try and error, but I watched a lot of tutorials and workshops and read tons of stuff about it. And then I started, and then I watched one tutorial about those flat lay shots. And that was really, really helpful because she explained as well how to use the lighting for pictures, for example. That is, I think, one of the main topics, one of the most difficult ones, because with artificial light, it's very hard for me to get it right. I think you really need
Yep.
to be quite professional to get it beautiful. And she in that special in that one course, the woman said that it is best, especially for beginners, to use natural light. So you go in
Yeah.
near the window, and then you have a natural light source that you can use. And also you have to also work with the shadows a bit and where to place it, how far or near to the light source. And yeah, and then she also she used I think it's cardboard papers,
Yeah.
like bigger
Yeah.
ones, as a background. And that's exactly what I'm doing ever since. I have
Nice.
those big colored cardboards that I place on the table. And yeah, and then I just place my instruments on there and just try what looks best with the flowers. That's something I really, really like. And also like, you know, some small cables here, or
Yeah.
a picture, a postcard there, or a stamp here and there. Ever since I'm always looking in the shops what I can find, like
Nice.
little sweet details, what I can use
Mm-hmm.
for it. And yeah, and I think it's and I got a lot of feedback on that as well. That is that one can instantly see that it's me with those
Yeah.
cardboards and the flowers, and that I have now my own style. And then I thought, why not keep it and develop it as good as I can. And yeah, I'm learning every day. I'm still, especially with cameras and videos, that's pretty challenging for me, because I still don't know all those parameters that you can adjust.
Yeah.
With the color grading as well, there was, and I also had very often with videos that I shot a video like 20-30 minutes long, and then everything was blurry and I had to do it all over again. You don't know how many times that happened to me, because I didn't see it on the little preview screen. I just didn't see that it was so blurry. And that's, yeah, I'm still feeling like a noob, but I guess I'm learning every day. And I'm very happy that people like the colored
beautiful
background.
It's really beautiful.
Thank you.
Wow. So I want to know if you can tell something. If not, that's also fine. We are closing up 2021. And normally I would ask actually, how will 2022 look like? But I'm gonna ask, what was your highlight from this year? Because sometimes it's really good to look back and think like, that was really cool.
That's true, yeah. Yeah, my highlight, definitely the Moog gig at Super Booth in Berlin. That was really fantastic, and I don't want to miss my Moog instruments anymore. They are really essential now. Especially the matriarch. I know it's not the cheapest one, but it's so worth the money. It's really beautiful. It has so many possibilities. I actually didn't patch it once up, so I only used, the possibilities at hand. So I still have so much to explore, and I'm already so much in love with it. That was definitely a highlight. And yeah, I think all those little projects as well that I worked on. I worked with Reverb, for example. They had this pedal contest, or this little video for Bobies was very, very fun. And all those, I think it's very fun to, that's in general something I really like, to work on different things, explore different parts of sound design, of music, to work with different people, different teams. That's always very rewarding for me.
Oh, you have such a good heart. There was actually, we did a little competition as well on the We Make Bjooks Instagram, and we want to pick a winner that can win a book. And it was for a question to you. So I picked one, and he calls Lego person, but he asked, was there a part of modular that was most difficult to wrap your head around? Would you teach that aspect of modular differently? I think learn maybe.
So if there was a module that was difficult to wrap my head around.
Yes. Was there something really like, oh, I can't do this, and we could do it differently? Or I thought that was really interesting. Yeah.
I think for me, it's really the topic of sequencers. I think that, and I had one module that is very powerful, but that was very difficult to program for me. That was the Hermod by Squarp Instruments. And it can do so many things, and it is fantastic modules. But for me, it was, I don't know, it was not intuitive enough to use. So I kept searching for another main sequencer, because I don't only want to really sit there and program one note after the other for a live gig, but I also want to play it, to hear the melody quite quickly. Maybe I didn't use it right. You can also actually connect a keyboard to the Hermod. Maybe I should have done that more often, but yeah, maybe I didn't get it yet, so that perfectly how to use it. So yeah, that's maybe the one.
Yeah. It's good to highlight, I think, as well, sometimes things we like exploring is fun, but sometimes we also miss the boat or see something that we don't like, or and that just can happen. I think it's part of the process. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah. Yeah. I think I hold you already so long here. I said 30 minutes. It's 50
Oh,
minutes.
wow. Didn't notice.
But it's heaps fun talking with you, really.
Likewise, likewise.
That's so great. Yeah, I think we're gonna post this video so everybody can watch it back. The winner can see that he won. And yeah, I actually really wanna wish you good luck with everything you're doing, and I hope we talk soon again.
That would be great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, seriously. Yeah, well, bye everyone, and see you next week, I guess.
Bye. Have a great day,
Bye. You
evening,
too.
night.
Yeah, you too. Bye bye.
Bye bye.